is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are the Fourth. We are Florida.
Tonight, Major League Baseball celebrates the lasting legacy and impact of Jackie Robinson. Tonight, Giancarlo Stanton, Dee Gordon, and the rest of the Marlins return home. It was a nice road trip, and now a chance to fire up the troops. Wei-Yin Chen's first start was 10 days ago, and it was a painful one. He's back up on the horse and squaring off with the Braves. It's Miami, it's Atlanta, it's a three-gamer, and it starts tonight. Paradise, right? On a Jackie Robinson day throughout Major League Baseball, the Marlins are back in South Florida. Marlins Park open for business. Roof is closed. Got the AC going. Yes, the Braves have not won a game yet. They are at 0-9, and the Marlins come in off a nice road trip on Jackie Robinson Day. Every player in baseball wearing 42, the number that was retired in honor of the man that paved the way for a lot of the modern day ball players. Williams Perez for the Braves, Wei-Yin Chen for the Fish. Hi everybody, Rich Waltz, Eduardo Perez. Welcome to Miami. And for the Marlins, anytime you go through Washington, D.C. and New York these days in the East and come out with a winning road trip, you got to be pretty pleased.
Absolutely, with that pitching staff that both teams have had to face, and then they've been able to go out there and do the job against New York, against Washington, the Nationals, and be able to hold on. The pitching staff really kept the offense for both New York and the Nats at bay. That's why they're coming home to a winning road trip.
And a guy that, while he was on the trip, he had to watch all the other starters, is Wei-Yin Chen. Now, Chen against Detroit. Certainly the painful line drive off his elbow affected the rest of his start. What do you expect tonight?
I expect a lot better. I expect for him to be able to establish both corners of the plate with the fastball, the inside part, the outside part, but most importantly, he's going to have to be able to use his secondary pitch as well. This is an Atlanta Brave team that is struggling offensively. No reason to start getting them high.
He's had some bullpens and a simulated start in his 10-day layoff. And the Marlins will face a guy that they haven't seen in a while, Williams Perez. Perez, a guy, a lot of sinkers. What do you see from him, and what's the approach for the Marlin hitters?
A lot of sinkers. You look at the numbers last year. He had 8 hit by pitches. What does that mean? That means he needs to be able to establish the inside part of the plate with the two-seamer and try to stay in there, try to own that part in order to get the Marlins to look in there and then use that off-speed pitch to get the hitters out.
So it's Marlins, it's Braves, it's Jackie Robinson Day. And when we get back, Jessica Blaylock, Jeff Conine join us from center field to talk about the legacy, the day, and the Marlins and the Braves. Move Jackie Robinson's 42 to straightaway center. And if you gaze out there, you'll find Jessica Blaylock and Jeff Conine.
Hey, Rich, it is Jackie Robinson Day here at Marlins Park. And tonight, not only do we honor a man who had such a prolific career, but we honor the man who broke the race barrier for Major League Baseball. And Niner, his impact on the sport is still felt today.
Yeah, it's still remarkable when you look at what he had to go through, the adversity he had to face on a day-to-day basis to play one of the most difficult mental games there has ever been and excel like he did is absolutely remarkable. And beyond what he did on a baseball field, he did off the field. What a remarkable human being. And like you said, we're still feeling the effects of that today.
And you take a look at some of his accolades. He broke MLB's color barrier on April 15th, 1947. And then look at that career. He was a Rookie of the Year. He won a batting title and was an MVP for the National League. It is really unbelievable to see what he was able to accomplish after he was allowed to play the sport that he loved.
And you know what? It lives on for us because of what Dee Gordon did last year, the first second baseman to win the National League MVP or the batting title, stolen base title, hits title, all in one season. Dee Gordon did that. First man since Jackie Robinson did
That is an unbelievable achievement for Dee Gordon as well. Coming up next, it is first pitch between the Marlins and the Braves. Wei-Yin Chin back on the mound for the Fish. He'll look to get his first win of the year.
Marlins baseball on Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by Jeep. Visit Jeep.com to learn more. By Bank United. Switch to Bank United today. Visit us at BankUnited.com or call 877-779-2265. By your local Toyota dealers. Let's go places. And by Southwest Airlines. Transparency. Low fares, nothing to hide. Wei-Yin Chin takes the field. Miami back home. A nice 7-game homestand. The Braves and then the Nationals in. Atlanta's lineup, tough to believe they're at 0-9 with some of the veterans they've got. Nick Markakis right now. Look at the 7 doubles. The lineup brought to you by UHealth. Daniel Castro gets a start at shortstop. Freddie Freeman slumping. He's at first. Adonis Garcia is at third base. Gordon Beckham is at second. Jeff Francoeur, Frenchie's in left field. That's a different look for him. Tyler Flowers behind the plate. Drew Stubbs, the speedy one in center. And Williams Perez is on the mound. Wei-Yin Chin, this his second start.
This is his second start, and let's see how rusty he is going to be. I mean, at least he's thrown bullpens. He needs to now be able to establish again, keep it down low. You see how many starts he had last season, 31. We need to be able to keep this guy on the mound, be able to see him, because he's a special treat. Dominated in Japan, did very well the years he was with the Baltimore Orioles, and now here in Miami, the Marlins, the fans need to see him.
It's one of the best kept secrets in the American League. He had the 4th best winning percentage in his 4 years in Baltimore and pitched to an ERA of 3.34 last year in 31 starts with the Orioles, and of course half of those starts in a very small hitter-friendly ballpark. So we'll see about the 10-day layoff. We'll see if it has any effect. He goes against a Braves team that has come close but has yet to win. They started 0-9 on this Friday night. Don Mattingly ready to go. On Jackie Robinson Day, Nick Markakis, Daniel Castro, and Freddie Freeman standing in. Chen delivers down low. Pitch a penny brings you that first pitch. Marlins a winning road trip. Split 2 in Washington, D.C. and won the series against the Mets in New York. And a fastball misses in. Markakis is off to a quick start. You saw the doubles numbers. 7 doubles, leads the majors in just 9 games. And he was a pest to the Marlins last year.
Yes, he was. Very difficult to strike out. Knows the zone really well and uses line to line. Hits according to the count. Knows when to pull, but also knows when to go the other way.
See Chen missing just outside with that fastball. And he misses down low. That's a 4-pitch walk to Nick Markakis. That's certainly not the start the Marlins were hoping for. All right, Southwest Airlines brings you Miami's defense.
Well, from left to right, you have Yelich, Osuna, and Stanton in the outfield, and then in the infield, Martin Prado at third base, Echeverria at shortstop, Gordon, and then Bohr at first. Real Muto behind the plate, and Wei-Yin Chen on the mound.
Chen, it's a pretty good move to first base. Markakis not necessarily a base stealer. And Daniel Castro is the hitter for Atlanta. It's a Braves team that obviously is in transition. Over the last couple of years, John Hart, who took over as president of baseball operations early last year, has, well, unloaded a lot of talent, gathered a lot of youngsters, and they're not here yet. You saw Freddie Gonzalez, and for Freddie, it's a real challenge right now. The talent in the organization is in the minor leagues. It will be here. Maybe some will trickle in come late May, early June, but for now, the Braves are a collection of some young faces and many veterans. And Chen right now having trouble finding the strike zone.
Well, the bad news is, yes, a lot of balls. The good news is he's missing down in the zone. It's not up. Won't have a lot of trouble with hitters trying to get on top of that baseball and drive the ball when you're missing up.
Daniel Castro, 23-year-old out of Mexico. And he lashes it foul. The count is 1-2.
Castro about to get an opportunity now to be able to see what he has in playing shortstop. Very good defender. They've had a lot of issues so far in the first week of the season with Ibar at shortstop. A lot of errors, not making the plays that they thought he would be able to make routinely. I mean, they got spoiled for a couple of years there at shortstop with Anderson Simmons.
Sure. Yes. Simmons, of course, in the American League now. That one line foul first base side. He is one of the subtractions, obviously, from last year's Braves team. But you have to go back 2 years when the exodus started of Jason Hayward, Evan Gattis, the Uptons, Craig Kimbrell, of course this offseason Shelby Miller. So a lot of talent has left, and the Braves are hoping the return that they got of good young players, that those guys blossom to good major leaguers. Chen trying to catch that corner. Adrian Johnson's calling balls and strikes. And he saw that one outside. With Gary Cederstrom, Eric Cooper, and Jim Wolf.
Very good call by Adrian Johnson behind the plate. Little run, little tail on that fastball. 91 miles per hour, trying to get Castro to chase.
Markakis, leadoff walk. He's at first. Castro hits a bouncer to short. Should be two. Echevarria, Gordon's turn. And Miami gets a double play ball, and that's Wei-Yin Chen at his best.
That's why it doesn't hurt when you're keeping the ball down. Hitters now start looking lower in the zone. Off-speed pitch, getting him ahead. Gets jammed a bit right there. Two bouncer right to Echevarria. Routine double play.
So there are two outs, and here is Freddie Freeman. Throughout the Braves' struggles last year, you still had to worry about Freddie Freeman. But this year, it's been a struggle for him. He's 2 for 25. He has homered, and he's driven in 2. And he's had to answer a lot of questions and reassure people that he's healthy.
Right, that his hand is okay, yet he doesn't seem to get started early. Look at the stance. You see how late he was on that first pitch. Trying to see the ball deeper sometimes actually gets you in trouble. Start thinking up there, next thing you know, that 92, 93 mile per hour is completely by you.
Two 1 pitch. And it's a strike. Yeah, the line drive off the bat of Anthony Goes in the second inning in that Tigers game. Busted bat. Echevarria on the shift has to go to his right to get it and gets the out. And after a leadoff walk, no issues for Wei-Yin Chen. Bottom of the first, and Don Mattingly's lineup looks like this. It's brought to you by U Health. D. Gordon in the leadoff spot. Marcelo Zuna will hit second. Christian Yelich third. Giancarlo Stanton in the cleanup spot. Martin Prado, the former Brave, hits fifth. Justin Bour is at first base. JT Realmuto in the seventh spot. Adeiny Echevarria is at shortstop. Wei-Yin Chen will hit ninth, and you see D. Gordon has done a lot of damage against the Braves. Williams Perez, a 24-year-old out of Venezuela.
Good stuff, electric stuff. We're not looking at high 90s, we're looking at low 90s, but the movement is his key. And he'll have to be able to keep the ball down. He'll have to be able to crowd the plate against right-handed hitters to be effective tonight against the Marlins.
When he's on, lots of ground balls. Braves infield adjusted already for Gordon. Garcia short at third. Freeman on the grass at first. And D takes a fastball for a strike. Gordon speaking before the ball game on the impact of Jackie Robinson on his life, his career and that of others in baseball, very eloquently, very thoughtfully. Pitch misses outside. It's a ball and a strike. 15 straight against Atlanta. That's the hit streak for Dee Gordon. Gordon bangs one up the middle. That's Castro, and he gets the out. Braves had an awful start with 6 errors in their first 4 games. Southwest Airlines brings you their defense.
From left to right, Francoeur in left field, probably the best arm in baseball right now in left field, with Stubbs and Markakis in right. Then in the infield, Garcia at third base, Castro at shortstop, Beckham and Freddie Freeman at first base, Tyler Flowers behind the plate, and Mr. Perez on the mound.
Marcell Ozuna now. Eduardo, you've been a hitting coach in the major leagues with the Marlins, and you know, and we talked about it, it's the guy at the circus trying to keep all the plates spinning. Right now for Frank Menechino and Barry Bonds, the plate that's wobbling a bit is at the plate, and that's Marcell Ozuna. High chopper, and that'll get him a base hit.
Just stop wobbling right now, Rich.
And he's headed for second. Throw, that's Francoeur out there, and he beat the throw. Ozuna never hesitated. That's a hustle double against one of the better arms you'll find in Jeff Francoeur.
I think Lenny Harris will tell him later, I don't know who you just thought you ran on, but that's a very good arm in left field. But it wasn't on the arm, it was more on how Francoeur attacked the baseball, going towards it. See right there, pounds it. That's what Mr. Perez gets you. But he never stops, takes a nice turn, looks in, and just listened to his coach, and he went no hesitation whatsoever. Give a lot of credit to Perry Hill also at first base, letting him know, keep going, keep going.
Christian Yelich now, who has hit in all 7 games. Yelich a couple of hits on Wednesday, and he bangs one into left field. That's a hit. Francoeur's there quickly. Ozuna had to wait to make sure it got through the infield. The Braves botched the cutoff, but Yelich is still at first base. And so the Marlins are set up at the corners, and here comes Stanton.
Christian Yelich continues his rampant hitting, going the other way, not trying to do too much against a 2-seamer. That's exactly what left-handed hitters have to do. Hit it where it's pitched, the outside corner, go with it.
So just like that, a double by Ozuna. Yelich's single. That's 8 straight now for Yelich. And here's Giancarlo Stanton. Stanton in New York was 1 for 9. That one was a homer against Steven Matz. It knocked Matz out of the ballgame. Braves infield shifted, and Stanton bounces one through that shift into center field. Ozuna scores, Yelich to third, and Miami has 3 consecutive hits and a run against Williams Perez.
Giancarlo Stanton taking advantage. Watch the infield right here. They want to play the shift, but they also want to cover the double play. You have to be able to pick one or the other. They opted for the double play situation. Usually when there are no runners on base, that's a routine ground ball to the second baseman because that's where he would be at. I would continue to play the numbers instead of trying to go after the double play. Now you continue to have runners at the corner with 1 out.
And now Martin Prado off to a hot start, 10 for 24. Stanton and Yelich at the corners. If you want to go percentages, Williams Perez will throw a sinker, a 2-seamer, as you noted, in the low 90s, about 70% of the time.
Yeah, just a little bit over 70, and that just tells you right there that tomorrow and tonight the grounds crew has a lot of work. They're going to have to resod a lot of the infield because they are going to be pounding it onto the ground.
A 1 pitch. Prado up the middle, should be 2. Beckham gets the double play, and the inning is over. But the Marlins are on the board and lead at 1-0.
Está disponible en español a través del SAT y es presentado a ustedes por Kendall Toyota y West Kendall Toyota.
In Miami, a 1-0 start for the Marlins. Giancarlo Stanton driving home a run. 7 RBIs now for Stanton. This is game number 8, and Wei-Yin Chen, so far so good in his second start. Adonis Garcia, Gordon Beckham, and Jeff Francoeur for the Braves. And a fastball misses out to Garcia, the 31-year-old Cuban. Star in Cuba for 7 years. Then to the Yankees organization. A chance to play in the big leagues with the Braves last year. And he showed some nice signs. He slugged near 500, 10 homers, 12 doubles in just 58 games. The Braves, however, are without another Cuban player who last year they acquired, and that's Hector Olivera. Olivera was arrested in Washington, D.C. in a domestic dispute and is on the restricted list right now. And Adonis Garcia is thrown out. Sunday is a fun day. Marlins and Braves. Pepsi 4 for 74 pack. Get your 4 tickets. 4 KM Beef Franks, 4 Pepsis for $74. Kids get a Marlins baseball cap courtesy of the fine folks at Fox Sports Florida. And you can run the bases after the game in the Diamond Dash. That's only if you're a kid, though. But it's a nice day for a ball game. 1:10 start. Remember, the Clevelanders got that brunch going. So you can come out early, have brunch. Kids are welcome in the Clevelander on Sundays this year. All that going on.
I'm big on Sunday fun days. Huge.
We're hopeful there'll be a Tutti Frutti sighting. He's the favorite clown of Jeff Conine. He's oftentimes here on a Sunday fun day. This is Gordon Beckham. Gets into one to left. Yelich back at the track. He's there, and he makes the catch. And Wei-Yin Chen has a couple of outs, and that'll bring up Jeff Francoeur.
See how quickly Yelich was able to get back to the warning track for all of those that have not been here at the stadium. Fences were brought in, lower also, and the warning track's also wider than it was in the past.
From 20 feet to 25 feet from foul pole to foul pole. Of course, Francoeur swings at a first pitch fastball and fouls it back.
No surprise there.
Out in right. Francoeur, it's not weird to see him in a Braves uniform. In fact, it kind of looks right. But what an odd, strange trip it's been, to quote Bill Walton, for Francoeur since he left Atlanta. I mean, the Mets, the Rangers, the Royals, the Giants, the Padres, the Phillies last year. And he made the Braves in spring training. Of course, he had that great start with the Braves, winning a Gold Glove in 2007. His 13th year in Major League Baseball. Breaking ball right into the shift. And D. Gordon is there to get the outs. Wei-Yin Chen looks smooth tonight. 1-0 Miami. The telecast presented by the Authority of the Miami Marlins may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins. The life of the party and the heartbeat of this Miami baseball club. Dee Gordon, Justin Bour, JT Realmuto, and Adeiny Hechavarria. Williams Perez gave up 3 hits and a run and faced 5 hitters and threw 9 pitches.
That's what a sinker ball will do.
John Chimchuk, our baseball historian, along for the ride here tonight. Rich Waltz, Eduardo Perez. Bour had a nice run against the Braves, or I should say at the Braves' expense last year. And Bour up the middle into center field, a base hit. He has baffled every shift he's seen this year.
And I was about to say that as soon as the swing came through, he has hit them where they're not, has been able to go the other way. His swing looks a lot, it looks different than last season, allowing the baseball to get deeper and not rolling over as much, using the other side of the field. We saw it in New York, we saw it against the Nationals, and here earlier against Detroit. Continues to use the middle other way.
My goodness, he had 351 against the Braves last year, and he greets them with a base hit here. JT Realmuto. Now with the guy that's around the plate, we saw that 5 hitters, 3 hits, a run, 9 pitches. How does that change your strategy as a manager, as someone who's managed in winter ball?
Look for more hit and runs. A sinker baller like this needs the double play to get out, especially when you have a contact hitter. Start the runners. Doesn't matter the velocity that's at first base. It's about staying away from the double play.
Both teams have bounced into a double play in this one. Prado finished Miami's first. Bour not a big lead. 0-2 coming to Realmuto. That is strike 3 called. JT Realmuto out number 1.
That was a really nice sequence of pitches right there by Perez, being able to throw that breaking ball for the second pitch for strike, coming backdoor two-seamer to get Realmuto to be frozen, and watching that all the way to the mid. That's not a good feeling. Not a good feeling at all, Rich.
Hechavarria. See, Hechavarria, he had a fast start, did not have the best of stops in New York. He was 0 for 9 in that series. He shoots it foul. Danny Hechavarria, if you remember last year, really streamlined his swing, and instead of pull, with all the work that he put in with Frank Menechino, and now this year with the help of Barry Bonds, he's kept that stroke to middle and away. Found him a lot of hits last year. And Perez misses down low.
Well, last year he even started off a lot slower than he did this season. So look for him to maintain and get right back to where he was last season. Very fundamental, grounded stance.
Sprays a ground ball. Knocked down there by Beckham, and he gets the out at first. No double play, runner in scoring position, and it turns the lineup over with the pitcher coming up. All right, let's scout the Atlanta Braves, and it's brought to you by AutoNation.
Well, you're seeing it right there, 0-9, and when you're 0-9, not a lot of good stuff you can say about the team. You've seen the average, 196, second worst in the National League, and the ERA, when it's ballooned just under 6, you know you're not going to get a lot of wins. As a matter of fact, 0 goose eggs so far this season.
Wei-Yin Chen, admittedly not a great hitter, and he trickles it up the line. It's a fair ball. Flowers is going to get him at first, and Miami is done in the second. 2 gone here in Miami. It's 1-0 Marlins.
Welcome back to Marlins Baseball presented by Jeep. A happy birthday to Adeiny Hechavarria, who turns 27 today. The shortstop is coming off of a great season defensively. Unfortunately, he didn't win a Gold Glove, but if you ask Etch, he will tell you he feels like he should have. He said, I thought I did enough. I thought I played well enough, but unfortunately, I did not take home the award. So guys, Adeiny Hechavarria not hiding his disappointment at not winning a Gold Glove.
Well, the Marlins will see the guy that won the Gold Glove here in about a week. Brandon Crawford, the defensive whiz, the shortstop for the San Francisco Giants, ended up winning it. Etch was a finalist. Jess, thanks for that report. And I think if Hechavarria had played the last month of the season,
I think that's where it comes down to. When all the managers and coaches get to vote for the award, they're thinking about, what have you done for me lately? They look at numbers and they're like, well, he was not active, not playing in the month of September. I think that had a lot to do with it.
And I suspect that the tally, the voting, when it was all added up, was pretty darn close. The one bit of good news for Hechavarria is that Andrelton Simmons has moved out of the National League. Because when healthy, Simmons is the guy. Tyler Flowers, Drew Stubbs, and Williams Perez. The Braves are at 0-9. It's their worst start since 1988. And I guess there's a couple ways to look at it. A lot of Washington Nationals on their schedule. 6 of the 9 games against the Nationals. The other 3 against the St. Louis Cardinals. Great breaking ball by Chen. He buries it, and Flowers is thrown out. There's one down. First strikeout for Wei-Yin Chen.
Well, secret of the game, get started early, and that's what he did. 0-1, and from there he was able to move the ball around and then finish him off with that breaking ball in the dirt.
Drew Stubbs now. On a night in baseball where there are 2 teams at 0-9. The Minnesota Twins have not won a game yet. They're at home against the Angels. And it's only the 3rd time in Major League history that 2 teams have started at 0-9 or worse in the same season. The last time it happened was 1988, Baltimore and Atlanta. Atlanta was 0-10. Baltimore blew right past that. They were 0-21.
Ouch.
It was that Baltimore team that had some talent. They just couldn't win a game, and it cost, I believe it was Cal Ripken Sr., his job as the manager.
And When you start off like that, there's just no way you can come back from it, and no matter how long the season is, down 21 games in a row.
1-2 is out. The first time it happened in Major League Baseball was back in 1884 when Detroit, who at that point was in the National League, and Altoona of the Union Association did it. So it's only happened 3 times in history going back into the 1800s. And Wei-Yin Chen really looks sharp right now. Drew Stubbs goes down, and there's 2 outs here in the 3rd.
Well, this fastball, he's been throwing everything down, and all of a sudden you start raising it right there, elevate the eyesight of the hitter. Too late for him to be able to catch up to it.
That one right off the mask of Real Muto. If it was September and the Marlins were in a race and Chen took that line drive off the elbow, he probably would have come back a little sooner than the 10 days. But at the start of the season, the Marlins wanted to make sure that everything was okay and take no chances. And Eduardo, the other thing that helped the Marlins was the wacky schedule. The 2 off days in Washington, D.C., and an off day yesterday.
And I think Don Mattingly and Juan Nieves did the right thing. Take their time, know how long he's going to be effective in this rotation.
Wow, he strikes out the side. He's faced the minimum, and Miami has a 1-0 lead. Miami, and the Marlins are off to a 1-0 start in this 3-game series against the Atlanta Braves. And with D. Gordon getting set to lead it off, top of the order, Giancarlo Stanton drove in that run. Miami compiling 3 hits against Williams Perez in the 1st inning. Stanton drove in the run with his hit after Marcell Ozuna doubled, Christian Yelich singled. Be at Marlins Park for the first All-Star Saturday of the season. The Marlins host the Braves at 7:10 tomorrow night. Celebrate University of Miami Family Nights. Get all-you-can-eat seats for just $29. First 5,000 fans get a Charles Johnson All-Star bobblehead, courtesy of Pepsi. Get your tickets at marlins.com.
That'll look like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Almost there with the Sunday Fun Days?
Nah, well, look. It'll be a big crowd. University of Miami night is always big. And you've got CJ in the house and his bobblehead as well. Now, you want to make sure you're here early. First 5,000, there it is.
Very athletic stance right here by CJ. Look at that power position. Still almost looks the same.
Now, did you play against CJ in your start of your career, end of his?
I actually did. I did play against him, and very good catcher, I might add.
Oh,
very good arm.
Gold Glove catcher.
Very good arm. Block it, and he could really lead.
So that's tomorrow night. And remember, tomorrow night's game is not on Fox Sports Florida. It is on FS1. Joe Davis and Preston Wilson will call the game tomorrow night. Please welcome them into your living rooms. And then on Sunday, the Marlins and the Braves finish off the 3-game set. Gordon takes a hack at a breaking ball and drives it foul. And the count is 2-2.
And then we can have our Sunday fun day.
That's right.
There we go.
That's right. With brunch in the Clevelander, bring your swimsuit. Gordon bounced to short his first time up. Perez hasn't thrown a whole lot of pitches. That's going to be a tough play with Gordon running, and he is safe by a bunch. We have seen a couple of balls really chopped high. The old, I guess, Baltimore chop, as they used to call it in baseball.
And he put the ball on the ground and run in front of the home plate. We've seen the high choppers. Osuna already got himself a base hit that way. Right here, Castro trying to make a play. Cannot do it. And the fun part is just watching the Braves bench after that. Did you see how fast he ran by us? Pretty fast.
And Gordon, of course, a threat to run. Back with the dive. So Dee Gordon's got himself an infield hit. Miami has 5 hits already. Perez was touched for 4 runs, 4 2/3 in his first start against the Cardinals. Gordon leading, and Perez goes over.
And here, D has to be able to go as fast as possible. If it's on the first pitch, go. Reason being, Marcell Osuna, yes, we all know he's a free swinger, but with the 2-seam specialist on the mound, ground ball is most likely to come. So might as well stay out of that double play and get yourself a base.
Now, I know, Eduardo, you came into the big leagues just in time to play against Charles Johnson. There's the move. Freeman very good with the glove over there. But you did miss the dead ball era by a few years as well. The dead ball era back in the 1800s. That's where Baltimore chop started. Ozuna fouls it back. John McGraw, that was his strategy. He was the manager of the Orioles back then. And he taught a technique that hitters would chop the ball down in front of the plate and run like heck. He also got his groundskeeper to pack the dirt tightly around home plate. Wee Willie Keeler was on that team. He got a lot of hits that way. That's a ball, and it counts 1 ball and 1 strike.
Give a lot of credit to Perez right now. Very quick to the plate, and that's exactly what's holding Gordon down. Free swinger. Yes, not a contact guy, but hard swing and miss guy on the mound. Don't be surprised right now if Mattingly puts something on.
Ozuna called timeout, and that's a positive step. Remember on the road trip, Marcell Ozuna a couple of times with Gordon at first and pitchers waiting Gordon out. Ozuna stood at the plate, did not call timeout, and seemed flustered and frustrated by it.
Remember against the Nationals, I even yelled time on one of them.
Yes, you did. Unfortunately, we were 8 stories high and no one heard you. There's a strike, and it's 1-2.
Boy, is he quick to the plate. Very difficult for Dee Gordon to go. If you're at home, you're wondering why is he not going. Usual times for Dee Gordon to make it easily, or for a bang-bang play at second base from a pitcher is a 1-3 and up. This pitcher is under a 1 second time to the plate. Again, very difficult.
Again, Ozuna calling time. That's something that Barry Bonds and Frank Menechino have talked to him about.
This is the biggest concern right now with Marcell at the plate. How do you deal with Dee Gordon at first base? So far, we're seeing him ask for time twice.
Wow, right back up the box. Quick to the plate and quick back up into center. Gordon is going to easily get to third, and Marcell Ozuna looks comfortable tonight. He is doubled and singled, and Miami is set up first and third. You can see Barry Bonds. That's really the guy that Bonds has worked the most with, because he's been I guess the neediest of the hitters so far.
And it's the mental approach more than the physical one. Watch this play right here. Center fielder, rule of thumb, if the center fielder hasn't caught the ball yet and you're stepping on second base, keep going to third base. If you're an average to a good runner, keep going to third base. There will not be a play made on you unless you fall down on the way over there.
Now Yelich jumped on the first pitch he saw and drove it into left field for a hit. Ozuna can run at first, and obviously good speed with Gordon at third. Middle infield back for 2, and it's in. 1-0.
So far this season, one thing Christian has been able to do is not swinging balls out of the zone consistently. He's been able to lay off those, and then when they are in the zone, boy, has he been good.
Went after a breaking ball. It's a ball and a strike.
And as soon as I say that, what does he do? Goes with it, but it's okay. That was his third pitch right there that Perez showed him, the breaking ball. Don't look, you'll rarely see him do this again against left-handed hitters. Usually it's a fastball, two-seam changeup.
Yelich has also walked 7 times. The guy that throughout his minor league career and into the major leagues has always had a very healthy on-base percentage. Last year, a slash line of 300 for the batting average, 366 on base, and a 416 slug. And that was after that miserable April and early May when his back was injured. He spent time on the DL. And he watches an off-speed pitch miss low. He's in a great count now at 3-1.
Now, if you're Christian, you have to be able to make Perez bring that fastball up in the zone. You know you're going to get something good. You have probably one of the best protections in the game behind you in Giancarlo Stanton.
Nobody out in the third. 3-1 to Yelich. Chopper out towards second. Beckham shovels. The relay is in time, and it's a double play. Miami gets a run, but the Braves get 2 outs.
Really surprised with the discipline that Yelich has, that Ozuna was not running on the play. You know, high percentage of ground balls being thrown by Perez. Instead, Marlins get that run. No RBI credited to Yelich.
So it's 2-0, and Perez faces Stanton with nobody on.
Love that dynamic of Barry Bonds. Right then and there, you come in, you go and talk to Christian Yelich. What were you thinking there? Just get it while it's fresh on his mind. A lot of hitters don't like to be talked after making the outs, but he's sort of like E.F. Hutton.
Right. I mean, look, it's Barry Bonds, so you stop and listen.
Right. When I was a hitting coach, they'd be like, yeah, right, Eddie.
2-0 pitch is up, and it's 3-0. Chances that Stanton gets a fastball. He's not a guy that normally goes after 3-0 pitches.
But right here, if it's a cookie, cover your ears.
That would be a cookie.
What? I had my ears covered.
It is pitch number 4. Off-speed pitch.
Oh boy, does he want that one back. Hanging off speed, looked like a slider more than anything. Flat slider, get me over for a strike. Look for that two-seam fastball hard in now. Go to your money pitch.
Stanton takes a rip. 92 miles an hour and fouls it back.
It's my first time in this booth, Rich. I mean, do foul balls come all the way up here?
Not often. More often than not, food comes up here from the suites below.
I like that.
Stanton hooks one, and it goes through the legs of Garcia. That'll be an error on the Braves' third baseman, and Stanton is aboard. And it gets Prado a third inning at bat. Braves had issues, especially early on. They had a 3-error game against the Cardinals.
You can't be giving away outs against good offensive teams. You see Garcia right there, not timing it right. All those cleat marks in front, you have to be able to keep your feet moving. Moved them early, then waited on the baseball, and what did the baseball do? It played with him.
I would think the fact that Stanton is at the plate, sometimes that'll play with his mind, any third baseman. And a ball like that off the bat, I mean, he just hit a 120-mile-an-hour single the other day in Washington, D.C. You expect it to come off the bat maybe harder than it did.
Right.
And you could see Garcia gathering himself early on the play. Stanton's at first. Prado bounced into a double play, and he hits a grounder. Nice big hop for Garcia, who throws it away, and it bounces into the seats. Stanton will score, I believe. Was he around second? No, he's going to stop at third base.
Yeah, they're going to say he wasn't at second yet.
If he's past second by the time this ball leaves.
See what Garcia did there. He catches the baseball, but then he stays standing up straight. Rule of thumb, you're in the infield. See how straight he is right there? You have to be using your legs more, shuffling, staying low. That way your arm can stay above. And in the background, we saw Giancarlo Stanton not at second base yet. And that was a great call by the umpires, getting together, making sure that the right call was made there.
Yeah, Stanton, if he's past the bag when the ball's released, then it is the bag you're headed to +1. Since he was headed to second when the ball was released, he gets that bag second +1, which is third. And the Braves right now are walking Justin Bour to get to JT Realmuto.
And we saw Freddie Gonzalez right there. It's very frustrating to have a sinker baller on the mound and get the ground balls, because that's all that's been happening tonight, and your defense isn't able to make the routine play.
There's not much a manager can do in that case, or in this case right now. Roger McDowell on his way out, longtime pitching coach for the Braves.
This is more to give his pitcher that 30-second breather. Let him know that he's still doing a good job. Yes, your defense has let you down, but to keep executing and keep throwing that baseball down.
Roger McDowell looking up at the shot clock out in center field. Took his 30 seconds and heads to the dugout. And Adonis Garcia with a rough go here in the third. He kicked Stanton's ground ball and threw Prado's into the seats. And Realmuto, who was called out on strikes back in the second. You can tell the Braves have seen enough of Justin Bour last year. He had a single back in the second inning.
Well, it's very difficult to defend now that he's showing you that he can hit the ball the other way, having that plate coverage.
Pitch is out. And it's 1-0. Williams Perez should be out of this inning by a long shot. The Braves not just giving the Marlins 4 outs, they're giving them 5 outs in this inning.
They are now with the 2-0 count, bases loaded. You're JT, you have to focus on one pitch, one location, hit it out in front. Don't fall in that two-seam trap.
And that's a two-seamer.
And that was a great take. That's not where he's looking. Okay, you still have the advantage. 2-1 count. Pitch was the low part of the strike zone. You see right there on Fox Tracks where it was. Hats off to Mr. Perez.
See what he gets at 2-1. chopper. Beckham backs up. Outfield grass. Just got him. Real Muto gets down the line quickly. Marlins pick up a run and leave them loaded. It's 2-0.
The patience and focus he had to go through with all the negativity he had to deal with, and people giving death threats and all that, it's big, and it takes a big heart and a lot of courage to do.
Jackie Robinson Day throughout Major League Baseball. He was an incredible athlete at UCLA. Baseball, basketball, football, and track. Giancarlo Stanton, a three-sport athlete himself in Southern California as a prepster. Wei-Yin Chen, a good pitch to Nick Markakis. And if you watch Marlins live, you heard Dee Gordon speak, you heard Giancarlo Stanton speak, Lenny Harris, Eduardo for not only African-American players, but also for Latin players. Jackie Robinson opened the door for everybody. I know Roberto Clemente was big as well, but Robinson, what he went through, as Dee Gordon said, allowed a lot of people to do what they do now.
Without a doubt, the courage that he had to have to withstand so much in that era and still be able to produce and represent pretty much the key to everything else. After that, after the 47, you're looking at opening the door to so many.
Nick Markakis bounces out. Time now for a Coors Timeless Moment. (1942), Iram Bithorn makes his debut, becoming the first Puerto Rican in Major League Baseball. And of course, you and I have both spent time at the ballpark that bears his name, Iram Bithorn Stadium, and the Marlins will play the Pirates there this year for 2 games.
Without a doubt, and that's something that you have to be able to say in Spanish also. I mean, that takes a lot of pride. That is the main stadium in San Juan is named after Iram Bithorn, and a lot of people take a lot of pride in that. That in Spanish right there is Iram Bithorn representando a Puerto Rico como el primer jugador en las grandes ligas. That's something that you have to cherish, and I know every Puerto Rican and Latino out there would knows and is proud of that moment.
That's a fair ball and a difficult play made terrifically by Martin Prado. Prado to his right across the line with all of his momentum headed towards the dugout.
No panic whatsoever, gets down, throws off his right foot, which is the correct foot to throw off, and has so much on it. Multi-talented defensive player, has really solidified third base here in Miami.
Speaking of solid, Wei-Yin Chen has been more than that. He walked Nick Markakis to start the game, erased him on a double play, and has retired everybody since.
Been able to get ahead of the hitters after that first inning. Throwing strikes, being able to mix it up with his off-speed pitches, keeping hitters off balance.
1-1 to Freddie Freeman. He's down low. Chen gave up 5 runs against the Tigers. Gordon, outfield grass, little bobble, got it, gets the out. Wei-Yin Chen through 4 is shutting out the Atlanta Braves. Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by Jeep. Visit Jeep.com to learn more. By Checkers, fast foodies know the deal. And by your Supercuts. Save time. And get a haircut like me. New homestand, new haircut, and a new look from Wei-Yin Chen. That 10-day layoff to make sure the arm is fine. Boy, has he been sharp in this one. A slew of ground balls, 3 strikeouts, just the 1 walk. And Miami trying to add to a 2-0 lead. A breaking ball backs Echeverria up. Williams Perez has not been helped by his defense, a couple of errors. And he has fed his infielders a lot of ground balls.
They should actually be playing a 5-man infield.
8 ground ball outs, should be 10 with the errors at third base last inning.
I wonder when the analytics of that'll come out with 2 seam pitchers.
Well, you had a front row seat at one of the most analytically savvy organizations, the Houston Astros. Was that ever discussed in your meetings?
A lot of things were discussed in our meetings, and one of them actually happened in that first inning where we saw the shift on Giancarlo Stanton. They did not care about the double play. Until this moment, they don't play according and depending with the double play, the defense, as far as it goes, where the shortstop and second baseman play close to second to be able to make that happen. They want to be able to trade the out for the base runners.
3-2 pitch down low, and Echeverria walks, and that sets up beautifully for Chen now. He could try to bunt Echeverria in the scoring position with the top of the order right around the bend.
Give a lot of credit to Adrian Johnson behind the plate. He has been very solid throughout, keeping track of every pitch. You see that last one on Fox Tracks, down and away, close, did not bite, didn't call it. So far, excellent game behind the plate.
Chen bounced out in the first. I would think for Adrian Johnson it has to be special to be behind the plate on Jackie Robinson night. Chen fouls it off.
Without a doubt, I mean, what Jackie did, he opened doors not only to baseball players and umpires, but to so many people and gave them so much hope. And even the umpires are sporting the 42.
Was it Emmett Ashford was the first African-American umpire in baseball, I believe. Adonis Garcia gets the out. Marlins push Echeverria into scoring position for D. Gordon. For Toyota, inside look. Jackie Robinson's 9 values: courage, justice, commitment, determination, excellence, persistence, integrity, teamwork, citizenship. Sounds like an early version of John Wooden's Pyramid for Success.
And I like how that word courage is number 1 there. I mean, as a matter of fact, on one of the many plane rides that I've taken this month, the one that I took today, I watched 42.
It's a great movie.
On my way down to Miami. Great movie. Perfect day to watch it.
I felt that movie really nailed the baseball scenes. Because there are obviously some baseball movies where, you know, those are actors out there. Gordon pulls one to the right side. Did it hit his foot? He didn't budge. And the umpires didn't call it a foul ball, I don't think. Don Mattingly's going to come out. And Adrian Johnson tells Gordon that he's out.
Going to have to review this one. Looks like it hit him on the way up from the bounce. Very difficult to tell right then and there.
That is close. You're right there on the up. Now the umpires are going to get together. You know, look, we've looked at the replay 3 different ways, and we can't tell. I don't know how an umpire standing 120 feet away is going to be able to get a better look.
The one thing is this: that as a hitter, you look at the reaction of the hitter, and immediately once he felt it, or he felt like he didn't hesitate whatsoever and didn't go and run. But they're going to call him out.
Yeah, Adrian Johnson, you could just hear him say to the dugout, I didn't see it hit him. And looking at that, how can you tell? So Echeverria resides at third. Now here's Ozuna, who is 2 for 2. And a breaking ball is a strike.
By him not running right there, really took a lot of pressure off the defense.
Well, you're kind of stuck if you're a hitter. If you feel like it's hit you in the toe, if you do run to first, there's no way they're going to call it. So you have to essentially give yourself up.
Right, you gamble and you see what happens. And if you notice, they didn't even try to call New York for it.
High chopper again. Garcia up for it, and he just gets Ozuna.
He tried to drop it.
2-0 Miami. FS1, the defending American League East champ Toronto Blue Jays take on the Boston Red Sox and Big Papi. And then it's the Marlins and the Braves. How about that on FS1? It all starts tomorrow, 3:30 on FS1. You can also watch it live on Fox Sports Go. Marlins and Braves will start at 7. So no Fox Sports Florida tomorrow night. FS1. Wei-Yin Chen, 4 innings, has not given up a hit. He has struck out 3 and walked 1. Adonis Garcia. And he takes a breaking ball down low. Garcia in Cuba played 7 seasons in the Series Nacional. That's the league in Cuba. The oddity about the professional baseball in Cuba is the schedule is actually from November through February. And it's about a 90-game schedule. 16 teams play in that league. A lot of international play. And a lot of the Cuban players that you see in Major League Baseball have played for the Cuban national team, whether in the Olympics, the World Baseball Classic, or other international tournaments. To center, Ozuna is there, and he makes the catch. That may have been the best ball hit off of Chen so far tonight. Our Geico Marlins moment on Jackie Robinson Day. The Marlins are 8-4 since Major League Baseball began the annual celebration. Don Mattingly before the game talking with Jessica Blaylock on Marlins Live touched upon once he was with the Dodgers organization, both as the bench coach for Joe Torre and then as the manager. Then he really got a good feel for Robinson, the person, what he meant to that Dodger organization, obviously what he meant to baseball and to society. Gordon Beckham lines it foul. And we were talking earlier about Adrian Johnson behind the plate, and it was Emmett Ashford was the first African-American umpire. It was in the American League. 1966 was his first year in the big leagues. And that's in the left field. It's a base hit for Beckham. First hit comes with 1 out here in the 5th. And that'll bring up Jeff Francoeur.
Pitch right off the hands. Martin didn't really get a good look at it. Usually try to read where the bat head is, but that ball missed bat head completely. Got jammed, but he's strong enough to get it through the infield.
Now Francoeur, who bounced to second. And he pulls one. Prado. Gordon makes the pivot just in time. And Chen has another double play. And has faced the minimum through 5.
Jackie Robinson night. I'm hanging out in Section 12 at Marlins Park, where there is an incredible Jackie Robinson display set up. It's got jerseys and hats from his time in the Negro Leagues, the minor leagues, and his time with the Brooklyn Dodgers. There's lots of different framed pictures. There's lots of different memorabilia from the time that Jackie Robinson spent in Major League Baseball. This is such an incredible display here on Jackie Robinson night, guys, for fans to come and check out.
It's a fun night, and the players, you know, not just the African-American players, Latin players, everybody knows the impact. Boy, Yelich is hot. Drives it in the corner. Yelich on his way to second. Christian Yelich stops there. He is 2 for 3.
Smart stop at second base. No outs. Don't want to make that first out at third. But going back to this get me over breaking pitch early in the count, he doesn't miss it at all. He hasn't been missing much barrel. Hitting it hard and hitting them where they're not.
I'm still amazed at that statistic from the article in Fangraphs. I believe it was Jeff Sullivan, the author, pointing out that Yelich in his major league career has 1 infield pop out. That's it.
That's impressive. That tells you how level his swing is, how on top of the baseball he stays. No collapse whatsoever.
It's about 1,500 plate appearances.
And that's a strike right there that Perez needs. Sorry to interrupt you on that one, but a pitch in off the plate, if he can get that call from Adrian Johnson, now he's back in business.
That one didn't miss by much. Didn't count 1 ball and 1 strike. In fact, it didn't miss at all.
No, it didn't. And you see that first one off the Fox track strike zone. He should try to live in there.
Breaking ball, Stanton, rifle shot, left over, Francoeur. Oh, he got it. He came running in, and then with a horrified look on his face, realized he'd come too far, backed up, and just got it.
Well, Giancarlo hits this baseball right off the end of the bat, and actually I thought it had broken it. And Frenchie heard the same, came in, and was able to make an unbelievable adjustment to make the play, smiling at the end after he caught the ball.
Wow. And here is Prado. The Marlins have had all the action on the bases. Chen has faced the minimum, but it seems like every inning for Williams Perez is a crisis.
And Williams Perez better be careful starting to spin that baseball over the plate. You see 2 balls that have been elevated and hit hard.
Breaking ball, Prado takes out. Martin Prado bounced into a double play, reached on an error in the 3rd.
Perez getting away from his game plan, which is that 2-seamer. It's been faithful to him all night, getting ground ball after ground ball.
Marlins have left 6 on base, and that's with a couple of double plays. So that illustrates how many guys have been on.
Perez is able to get Prado out here. That looked like a strike right there, but if he's able to get Prado out right here, you know what will happen to Justin Bour. Was walked last time to load the bases for JT Realmuto to do the damage. Freddie Gonzalez has already shown his hand. He won't pitch the Bour again. The runner in scoring position.
Prado fouls it off and out of play. If you're just joining us, Marlins back home, Braves for 3, Nationals for 4. And tonight, Wei-Yin Chen has been marvelous. Williams Perez has been battling. Prado down the left field line. That's a fair ball. Yelich will score. Elevation. The Marlins have had it after a slew of ground balls the first 4 innings. The Yelich double to right, the Stanton liner, and now Prado's double.
Well, I haven't seen Martin see a fastball inside. He doesn't like this one. Changeup stays over the plate and is hit well. Going to his secondary pitches, in this case a changeup being his 3rd best pitch. Martin Prado is able to turn on it, stays up, keeping it fair, driving in another run. And I don't get why all of a sudden this inning, Perez gets away and got away from his main pitch, the 2-seamer.
Well, now he'll get away with this Kendall Toyota call to the pen. Fans, if you can't watch the games on TV, you can now stream games live on your mobile device. Just go to your app store, download it, it's free. Fox Sports Go. Get the app, log in, stream Marlins baseball wherever you go, whenever, wherever. Eric O'Flaherty, who used to be a mainstay in the Braves bullpen, back when they had Craig Kimbrell, Johnny Venters, then they used to call it O'Ventrable. That was the 3-headed monster that you had to deal with at the back of the Braves pen. He's in to face Justin Bour.
And O'Flaherty, being that left-handed pitcher, down 3-zip. Now they will pitch to Bour. See Freddie Freeman on the line at first base. The shift completely on. They continue to do this to Justin. Last year, Justin hit the Braves very well for average and for power. See where the numbers are. 5 singles hits so far to the left side of the field. 1 to each center and right.
Bour pulls it, and that's right into the shift. And the second out is recorded. Flaherty gets the out. Real Muto, the hitter. And moving up to third base is Martin Prado, and Freddie Gonzalez. Well, it just shows you where Freddie Gonzalez is in terms of trying to get a win. He's matching lefty-righty here in the 5th inning because he doesn't want to let this game get any further away.
Not at all, and he knows his offense hasn't really been there since the beginning of the season. You have to be able to limit it here.
Good news for the folks from Kendall Toyota. 0-9 for the first time since '88. Fredi Gonzalez trying everything he can do to get him a win. And on Marlins Live on Sunday, we welcome back Craig Minervini from Hockeyland. He'll join Jeff Conine. Inside the Marlins preview, Julius Chassin and Jared Cozart will do the pitching. And at 1 o'clock, Eduardo Perez and I will watch some baseball. And it's all brought to you by the South Florida Honda dealers.
Sunday fun day.
That's right. You're in. Wait till you see the clown. You may reconsider after you see the clown. Here's Real Muto, and he takes a strike. Chris Withrow came over from the Dodgers. And a high fastball. Real Muto fouls it off.
See that miles per hour, 93 right there. When he was coming up and before his elbow injury, he would be able to touch 99. He's also had surgery in December of 2014 for a herniated disc. Tough year he had between the ligament surgery and the elbow and that back.
A lot of English on that. Freeman picks it up and steps on the bag. Marlins get a couple of doubles, and Wei-Yin Chen goes back to work.
Belongs to Wei-Yin Chen, living low in the zone early in the game, keeping everything down, inducing the ground ball, the chase right there with the breaking ball. This one out over the plate, gets the double play, and then you think I can live low? I can also live high. Swing and a miss to get that strikeout. That's what you need to do. Change eyesight and don't stay predictable as a pitcher. He's been able to do this so far for 5 innings.
73 pitches in the 5 innings. Just the 1 hit with 3 strikeouts and a walk. Gordon Beckham's ground ball single got through the left side in the 5th. And a fastball misses up. My bad. 58 pitches now. I mixed my Perez and Chen pitch counts up.
I see the similarities.
Yeah, see that? Yeah. Okay,
lefty, righty.
Yeah. Yes. Very much so. Chinese Taipei, Venezuela.
I see it. I see it.
Okay. Thanks. 3-0 Miami on top. Tyler Flowers off the end of the bat. AJ Pierzynski is on this ball club as well. It really is an interesting mix as the Braves try to transition to what is going to be a much younger team, and that may happen come June or July when some of the youngsters are deemed ready to go. They open their new ballpark next year.
I think the injury early on to Ender and Ciarte really hurt them also. You know, they were counting on him not only for his defense, but obviously to get on base, create havoc offensively. And it's really created an imbalance in this lineup, putting a lot of pressure on the young players and way more on the veterans.
Breaking ball, and Chen has another strikeout. Second time he's been able to get Flowers.
Flowers saw the entire arsenal right here, sees the breaking pitch, which looks like a strike and disappears down. JT getting down in the dirt, making sure that the ball stays in front of him. Perfectly placed pitch. Tyler Flowers, unfair fastballs and changeups, and then finishes him off with that.
Drew Stubbs. Chen trying to pick at that outside corner. Alexi Ogando is in Atlanta's bullpen. Bouncer short. Echeverria in time. 2 outs. Now remember, second inning, opening night against the Tigers, just above the left elbow. He would stay in the game. In fact, a couple hitters later, he gave up a 3-run homer to Ian Kinsler.
That hit him solid right there in that forearm. He battled, tried to stay through it, but was keeping a lot of the pitches up in the zone, started flattening out.
Jace Peterson at the plate. Peterson, who played a lot last year at second base. One of the youngsters the Braves got back in an early trade. Peterson coming up as a high round draft pick in the Padres organization. Chen misses away. It's 1-2. Breaking ball.
Really good take right there by Jace Peterson. Tough breaking pitch to lay off, especially with 2 strikes.
Oh, wow. Another breaking ball and a beauty. And another 1-2-3 inning. Through 6, Wei-Yin Chen has faced the minimum. A 1-hit shutout right now. Bottom of the 6th. Welcome back, Marlins Park. Rich Waltz along with Eduardo Perez.
And Juliana.
Oh, welcome to the broadcast booth.
Thank you.
All right, nice to have you here. All right, I'll get your impression first on Wei-Yin Chen. This is the guy that the Marlins sign. This is what they were hoping for. He's looked spectacular.
He's looked great, and what he's been able to do is change eye levels, but live down in the zone. Been able to get guys to chase a high fastball and then chase the breaking pitch down in the dirt. When you have that balance and being able to throw strikes consistently, that's what seems to work for him.
Now, you come from a baseball family, so it's nice to have your family here. Your grandfather, your father,
yeah.
Tony, is usually sitting right down below us in the suites. That's in the right field off the bat of Echeverria. And for you, Eduardo, to have this 3 generations of your family here at a ball game with regularity has got to be pretty cool.
It's got to be out there. For me, it's awesome to be coming back home and, you know, with all the travel and all the coverage that one does with baseball, to then now be able to come home, pick her up from school, and hey, let's go to the ballpark. How awesome is that?
It's not the typical Friday.
All right, who's more fun to spend time with? Is it Grandpa or Dad?
That depends what my dad's doing.
Oh, really?
Well, we let you in the booth tonight, and you've behaved yourself, so you're welcome to come back on Sunday, okay?
Yes.
What Sunday? What Sunday?
Sunday Fun Day.
That's right. It's a good day for the kids, too, on Sunday Fun Day. Now, maybe you can go down and actually from here you can throw something and pop Grandpa right in the shoulder if you want. Maybe a peanut or something.
That would be the best thing in the world.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to get everybody in trouble here. All right, let's focus on this ball game now as the Marlins and the Braves hit the bottom of the 6th. D. Gordon up, 2 outs. Alexi Ogando is the 4th Brave to work. He takes over for Chris Withrow. Eric O'Flaherty and Withrow navigated that 5th inning. Ogando, a one-time Texas Ranger. And at one time, one of the most fearsome pitchers to face. This is a guy that blew gas, nasty type stuff.
He did, had a filthy slider, but that fastball, he would throw it at will, and a lot of hitters didn't knew that he did not really have good command of it. That actually made him even more dangerous. Guys on their heels.
Braves went with Williams Perez to open this ball game. Perez went 4 1/3. Miami was able to get to him for all 3 runs and 8 hits. Gordon a 1 for 3 night. And he flips that one into shallow left. Francoeur is there, and he makes the catch. That's a quick inning for Alexi Ogando. 3-0 Miami. Marlins and Braves, first of 3 in Miami, opens tonight, and Wei-Yin Chen has been marvelous. His second start as a Marlin. Remember, the first one was against the Tigers. After taking a line drive off the elbow, he gave up 5 runs in 5 innings. Here, he has faced the minimum. The hit was Gordon Beckham's. That was in the 5th inning. And a walk to Nick Markakis opened the first. Both Markakis and Beckham were erased on double play grounders. So Chen has faced the minimum, and he enters now with 70 pitches. Gets a strike to Markakis.
In his first outing 10 days ago, he threw 76 pitches. So he's been building up. He threw a bullpen. Look for him to at least go 90 to 95 pitches in this game. Hasn't really had any stressful innings, so that will also be taken into consideration.
And even though he's been off 10 days, it hasn't been like the Marlins have had to run through their rotation a couple of times. This is only game for the Marlins, game number 8. So he started game 1 and he starts game 8 for Juan Nieves.
And how good right now is Juan Nieves feeling? And you can see Jose Fernandez with him saying, "Hey, coach, open. You're still pretty quiet over there."
Check swing, another strikeout. And 1 out here in the 7th inning. You can enjoy big discounts for all the Marlin games. The new Steals and Deals Tuesday offer. Deeply discounted tickets in most seating categories. For any Tuesday home game this season, the next Steals and Deals game is coming up on the 19th. It's Marlins and Nationals at 7:10. Go to marlins.com for details. The Nationals are here. Ooh, wow. Liner back up the box. That off the bat of Daniel Castro. Chen's seen enough of that. Castro has just the 2nd hit, and Freddie Freeman is coming up. The Nationals are a team that has beaten the Braves all 6 times this year. And after getting swept in the 4-game series in D.C., and the Braves have come from D.C., they've now lost 14 straight in Washington at Nationals Park.
That's tough. I was on a Seattle Mariner team in 2006 that struggled against the Anaheim Los Angeles Angels from Anaheim at that time. And it's difficult. It gets in your head. You have the lead and you're wondering, how are we going to lose that lead? And you always find a way to lose that lead.
Freddie Freeman has bounced out twice to short and to second. Marlins have the shift over with Echeverria almost behind the bag at second base. I asked Perry Hill at the start of the season, would his infield, with this new manager, new coaching staff, have more extreme shifts? And he said, maybe not that extreme. But the Marlins last year especially were very good at mini shifting, which is not a huge shift, but you know, 10 to 15 feet one way or the other, not bringing everybody over to one side of the infield. And last year Hill really charged Adeiny Hechavarria and Dee Gordon with shifting themselves, not waiting for word from the dugout, but on count and pitch, moving themselves. As a result, Echevarria's numbers were much better in terms of zone rating, range factor, all of those things. And Gordon obviously won the Gold Glove, and his metrics were very, very good as well. Three-two. Hit hard over Gordon into right. Stanton has it, and the Braves have a couple of hits here with 1 out in the 7th inning. And Miami's bullpen, which has been quiet, is stirring right now.
That's a sigh of relief right there from Freddie Freeman. Getting that base hit off to a tough start to start the season. Being able to barrel a ball like that, lefty on left. Third time around he sees him, sees Chen, and that has to feel good for him. Did not play in the last game in Washington against the Nationals, so having 2 days off really worked for him.
Pitch fouled back by Adonis Garcia, who was 0 for 2. It's not like the Braves haven't been in a lot of these games, and David Phelps is the first man working in the bullpen. They're 0-9, and they've had the lead in 6 of those 9 games. Jam shot, and it's going to nestle in for a hit. Stanton over to get it. 1 run will score. That's Castro. Freeman to third, and it's a double for Garcia. And the Braves have made it 3-1, and they've got the tying runs in scoring position with 1 out in the 7th.
Watch where this pitch is. Again, out over the plate. Gets in a little bit on his hands, but is able to keep it fair. And talking about early in this inning, 76 pitches was his last outing. That was 10 days ago. We're already past that range. We're seeing balls now out over the plate a little bit more, and you're seeing better contact being made by the Braves hitters the 3rd time around the lineup. Can't afford to make mistakes now.
JT Realmuto asked for time, and that may be to give David Phelps a little bit more time, even though the clock starts and he's only got 30 seconds to go out there and chat.
Yeah, he should be done right here.
Adrian Johnson's on his way out. Realmuto starts back to the plate. And Don Mattingly is up and out of the dugout. David Phelps will get a few more tosses. Mattingly is not signaled yet. And he'll take his 30 seconds.
It's all about strategy and making sure Phelps is as loose as can be. Even though he probably got the sign, if you could steal at least 6 or 7 more warm-up pitches in the pen as Adrian Johnson approaches the mound right now, you'll make that call.
Mattingly points to the bullpen. I think you're right, Eduardo. I think 6 or 7 extra pitches for Phelps. And he's coming in. Wei-Yin Chen leaves with a 3-1 lead, and it's up to Miami's bullpen to deliver. game, and that's the end of the line for Wei-Yin Chen. 6 strikeouts, 4 hits now, and he goes 6 1/3, 83 pitches. And he gives way to David Phelps, and we remind you can follow Marlins Baseball live with the MLB.com at-bat app. Stay up to the moment. Game day, live game video highlights, StatCast, news, and more. Download MLB.com at-bat, #1 app for live baseball on your phone and tablet or watch. Eduardo Perez has a fancy watch which also has the MLB at-bat app on it. Tablet, phone, watch.
Got it all.
Unbelievable. Now, David Phelps, you can see, has not given up a run. This is appearance number 4. Middle infield back, corners in. Phelps against Beckham. Ground ball short, runner coming home, and Echeverria gets the out at first. And so the Braves have drawn within a run, just like that. 3 hits and a ground ball. Holding second, importantly, was Adonis Garcia. And the Braves are going to pinch hit here. And it looks like Kelly Johnson, old number 42.
You have a keen eye from up here.
Yes. I was all set to tape down my Braves roster. So if you had a late inning replacement, pinch runner, whatever, you could identify the player quickly. And they're all number 42, which is actually pretty cool. A lot of the players talk about being able to wear that number on this date. Johnson takes a strike. Johnson hitting in Francoeur's spot. Johnson, another one of those veteran bats, and veterans that are sprinkled through the Braves roster, from Markakis to Beckham, Francoeur, Pierzynski, Johnson. Johnson, another one of those guys that started a Brave and now has come back to Atlanta. You see Chen there, hopeful that Phelps can keep the lead here in the 7th. And David Phelps has been terrific. Gets a ground ball out and a strikeout and hangs on to the lead. 3-2 Miami.
I feel like he sacrificed pretty much, you know, a long time part of his life for me, because there was a lot of things he couldn't say, a lot of things he couldn't do, a lot of torment he had to endure, and you know, he did that for me and my family, and I'm forever indebted to him.
Dee Gordon speaking so passionately about Jackie Robinson and his impact on Major League Baseball. Back in February during Black History Month, Dee actually had the opportunity to go and visit with some elementary kids at an elementary school in Avon Park. He read them a poem about Jackie Robinson as part of a project that they were doing. He said that experience meant so much to him. That's actually going to be part of a show on Dee Gordon. That Inside the Marlins is going to premiere in July. Guys?
All right, thank you. That's a good one to watch. A 1-run Miami lead, bottom 7. Marcell Ozuna, Christian Yelich, Giancarlo Stanton. Alexi Ogando still in there for the Braves. And a breaking ball whacked into left field. That's a base hit. A 3-hit night for Marcell Ozuna. And the plate that was wobbling through the first week of the season, Marlins hitting coach Barry Bonds has got that thing tightly turning now.
See the tight spin right there on the slider, and he stays on it. And when you as a hitter can stay on a pitch like that and drive it into left field, you know now you're starting to get locked in. And you saw Barry's face, excited completely. That is the feeling that you can't describe when you're a hitting coach, to get your hitter back on a roll again. At least for today, it seems like that plate is spinning pretty nicely.
Now Yelich, Christian Yelich, 2 for 3, doubled in the 5th, singled in the 1st. The Marlins came into this ball game with a batting average as a team at 284, 5th best in the majors, 3rd best in the National League. Colorado and Pittsburgh better than the Marlins in the National League. Detroit and Baltimore in the American League. Yelich fouls that one back, and it's 0-2. Kelly Johnson staying in the ball game in left field. Kind of game where the Marlins, I'm sure, have felt that they should have more than just the 3 runs. They've left 7 on. They have 9 hits. Remember, they got a couple of double plays that ended innings. Williams Perez was able to do that. Ogando hitting at 95 on that fastball, and that was a pretty good pitch. His catcher, Tyler Flowers, may have lost that one for him.
Well, when you ask for a pitch on the inside part and then all of a sudden you get 95 a little bit away, it seems like a world away. And Adrian Johnson was not going to give that one to Ogando.
Strike 3, and Yelich goes down.
This one paint bottom of the zone. Outside corner again. Perfect pitch. Christian knows it. Takes his bat back into the dugout. Sometimes you have to tip your cap to the pitcher, and that's one of them.
Now Stanton, RBI single, was reached on an error and then lined out. The ball that almost got over Jeff Francoeur's head for extra bases.
I like this matchup for Giancarlo right now. Fastball, Ogando throws it straight. Usually misses location. It's good stuff, but it's just right down Giancarlo's alley.
We talked about Ogando when he got to the big leagues. He was not an easy guy to face, and that was 2010 with Texas. Out of the bullpen for the Rangers. Of course, the Rangers got to the World Series that year. He was 4-1 with a 1.30 ERA.
That was a pretty good pen also.
Yes.
Look around, you have Neftali Feliz also was there as a closer. Ogando.
The next year, though, the Rangers moved him into the rotation. And he made 29 starts for him. He was 13-8 with a 3.51 ERA. He was an all-star that year. And he pitched in the postseason and the World Series. Though he was a reliever in the World Series, he appeared in 6 games. 6 of the 7 games against the Cardinals. and did not fare well. Had an ERA of over 10. Stanton now sitting on a 3-1 pitch, and we'll see if he gets that fastball.
Well, he's been challenging him with that fastball. He's been missing location. Why not? Giancarlo has to be sitting on it. This place could get loud with one swing of the bat.
Marcell Ozuna at first. And Stanton had a rip. Wasn't a fastball, but he was on it.
Went with the get-me-over slider. That's the second get-me-over slider in the night that Giancarlo has missed. He knows he wants that one back. See where it's right there on the box track, middle bullseye of that strike zone.
Three-two. Ozuna runs, and it's outside. So again, Miami with a couple runners on.
See how he pulls this one right out of the zone. He'd thrown him the 3-1 slider. Changed his arm slot for the fastball. Wasn't able to command it.
Martin Prado, RBI double last time up.
This right here is the secret to the success of the Marlins. Needing Martin Prado to continue to swing a hot bat behind Giancarlo Stanton.
Justin Bour's on deck. Infield looks for two. Logano misses away. Remember Freddie Gonzalez in that sequence in the fifth. Used 3 pitchers to get through the 5th inning. And really it's paid off for him. Freddie at that point down 3-0 in the ball game wanted to keep it as close as he could. He had to navigate through Prado, Bour, and Real Muto, and he did it with Eric O'Flaherty, Chris Withrow. Williams Perez got the first out of that inning. So Logano into his 2nd inning. And he's starting to hit his spots against Martin Prado. One-two.
Good protection swing right there by Martin. Too close to take. Fouling it off.
Miami had a 3-0 lead. Braves getting a couple. Here the top of the 7th. That one a roller to short. Turned by Beckham in the dirt, and Freeman bails him out. And the Braves turn their 3rd double play of the ball game. Still a 1-run game. The 8th game summary. We begin in the first, and that's when Miami started things out. Giancarlo Stanton snaked a ground ball through the shift in a 1-0 lead. Fish, after a double by Christian Yelich, Martin Prado pounced on one into the corner. And the Marlins at that point were up 3-0. Mr. Perez.
And don't count out the Braves. Freddy Gonzalez decides to make some maneuvering in the 5th inning. RBI by Garcia, bringing in one. And then ground ball to short, brings in another. Mr. Beckham, RBI.
There's your game summary. David Phelps continues on for Miami. And Phelps, who came in to finish the 7th, you get the last 2 outs as Tyler Flowers, Drew Stubbs, and the pitcher's spots. Marcell Ozuna with his 3 hits, Chen 2 runs in 6 1/3. And we pinpointed that 5th inning where Freddy Gonzalez used 3 pitchers to get through and with runners on hold the Marlins lead to 3, and it's paid off. The Braves are within 1. Phelps, who's been outstanding so far, gets strike 2. David Phelps 2/3 of an inning here. He's almost 8 innings to the season and has not given up a run. Just misses the outside corner.
And I really believe the time that Mattingly took to give him those extra throws in the pen after even he said he was ready paid off last inning. Making sure you have runners at 2nd and 3rd, high leverage situation.
Soft liner, base hit, right field. Tyler Flowers has his first hit of the night.
That's a strong man right there. That ball was fisted over the second baseman, D. Gordon. As Flowers is going to be pinch run. Young Malik Smith.
Our first look at him. Made his major league debut at Washington. Hit leadoff, played center field. He got cut over his left eye on an attempted stolen base.
How about that for your debut? But taken out of the game also.
He did steal the base.
You're going to get hurt. Get hurt in the big leagues.
That's right.
First day. Get it in.
Braves' 10th best prospect according to Baseball America. And was the organizational player of the year last year. Swiped 57 bases between Gwinnett and Mississippi. That's AAA and AA. 5th most stolen bases in all of minor league baseball. And he was another piece that came over in the trade with the San Diego Padres. And obviously the Braves have designs on second base right now. Bunt down the line, and it's a foul ball. That was nearly a disaster because you had Justin Bour, JT Realmuto, and Phelps all on the scene, and neither were sure whether they should pick it up.
Well, you try to pick this ball up as soon as it goes foul, but the spin hitting off the end of the bat right there almost brought it back. And you see where Justin Bour is holding on Malix at first base. When a speedster is like that, I'd rather see the first baseman on the bag. A lot of throws are going to be made. It's so difficult to shuffle back and try to place the tag. Probably another throw over right here. No. Quick pitched him to the plate, slide step.
And time called. Little conference. Drew Stubbs, the hitter. AJ Pierzynski is on deck as a possible pinch hitter.
see how there's no way right there that Justin can place any tag on Maddox at first base. You want to be able to keep him close, but at the same time, you have to let him know that you are going to put a hard tag on him.
There's a bunt picked up, foul ball. Quick throw by Real Muto, even though it was a foul ball. It shows you the athleticism of the former shortstop behind the plate. That's a fast man running down to second. Watch this.
He is fast. Fundamentals right there. You see him stabbing at that baseball. Catches it in foul ball territory, places his hand. Watch it right there. Good call by Adrian Johnson behind the plate. He's really having a good, solid game.
Smith still at first and not moving on a Phelps fastball that misses. It's 2-2. A one-run ball game. Marlins back home. A three-gamer with the Braves tomorrow night on FS1. There's 5,000 in the park. Get a Charles Johnson bobblehead, and then Sunday, the series concludes. See that patch he got from the slide in Washington. Got him. Sharp break. Certainly sharper than Stubbs expected.
Really good pitch. He's been throwing that slider middle away. This time comes in, throws it right at him, and you see it cut and hit the inside part of the plate for strike three. Drew Stubbs gets frozen right there, and you see the ball just crossing the heart of the plate.
A.J. Pierzynski now. Will pinch hit with one out. Bohr's a little closer to the bag now at first. Marlins bullpen has some action. Chris Narveson is up. Phelps 14 pitches into this relief appearance. This is his fifth hitter. And Pierzynski, a guy who apparently has more baseball left in him, a lot more than people thought going into last year. And many thought he was just going to be a backup catcher and get maybe 200 at bats. He appeared in 113 games. He hit 300. He slugged 430.
Continue to play and continue to put the right digits down for a young pitching staff. That's why the Braves really liked them, knew how to manage them well.
Dr. Phillips High School in Orlando. Runner goes, good jump. Real Muto's throw on a hop, safe. Echeverria had the tag. Smith may have got his hand around the tag.
That's what speed does. You have it with one out. If you can't get the bunt down, very good jump by Smith.
Nope, he just got there in time.
See where he puts that hand right in there before the tag. And I really like what Idanis did. Kept the tag on before you were taught to just place it and get out. Now, stay on it.
Lots of speed at second with the tying run, and Pierzynski waiting at the plate. Phelps comes in and gets a strike. It's 1-2.
That's that big leverage 1-1 pitch. He goes 2-1. The percentages go really high now in favor of Phelps. 1-2 can really open it up or try to freeze AJ.
Got another tough lefty bat in Markakis on deck. High run at second. And it hit him. Pierzynski hit by the pitch. He kind of turned into it. Phelps put his arms up as if to say.
And I laugh because that's what A.J. Pierzynski does. And what you don't like as an opposing team, you love to have him as a teammate. Putting that pad right there, wearing it, knowing that the 1-2 count, odds are not in his favor. He'll take the bag. There's nothing you can say right there. Yes, he didn't get out of the way, but you see where that pitch was. It was in the batter's box area.
Well, now it's Markakis and Juan Nieves on the phone. Narveson, the lefty, in the bullpen. And Don Mattingly's going to go to that lefty. And Miami's skipper is on his way out. And so David Phelps upset at himself right now. Atlanta with runners at first and second in a 1-run game and 1 out. Kendall Toyota called to the bullpen. Here in the 8th, gave up the hit to Tyler Flowers, and then that 2-strike pitch came in, clipped the elbow of A.J. Pierzynski. So it's Chris Narveson who gets Nick Markakis. Marlins also have a right-hander getting ready in their bullpen as well. You've got Daniel Castro on deck. Ryan Morris. As the Marlins try to navigate this 8th inning and hold on to a 1-run lead. This is a wind-starved Atlanta team that has opened 0-9. As we noted, it's their worst start since they were 0-10 in 1988. The Twins, by the way, are also 0-9. They are scoreless at home against the Angels in the bottom of the 5th.
Well, both teams have struggled offensively. Each one, the Twins and the Braves, have had one guy that has not struggled with the bat. Mauer for the Twins, and this guy right here for the Atlanta Braves, which sits 0 for 2 so far with a walk tonight.
7 doubles, best in the big leagues. Amidst all the losing, Markakis has hit, and he takes a strike. Narveson seemingly in there just for Markakis. Got great speed at second. Pierzynski's the runner at first. A ball and a strike. The double play certainly was Wei-Yin Chen's best friend. He had 2 of them. Soft serve, left field. Smith around third. Coming to the plate. Yelich's throw is cut. And the Braves have come back to tie the game 3-3. Nick Markakis delivers.
One of the biggest reasons why Markakis does not struggle, uses the entire field. This time pitch out away from the zone, is able to put the bat on it and go with it to left field, and knowing with the speed of Smith, no chance whatsoever as you see Bo Porter waving him in. Brand new game with runners at first and second.
Now Castro, and Narveson stays in there. You've got Freddie Freeman, another lefty on deck. Narveson misses down low. Castro, his hit in the 7th was just the second of the night for the Braves, and that was against Chen.
Good tough pitch right there by Narveson. Could have gone either way. See where it hits. Let's not forget the plate 17.5 inches wide, hitting the corners. That does not mean that it has to pass on top of the plate.
Two and one.
Really like what Narveson did there. He threw an off-speed changeup, 2-0 pitch, 82 miles per hour, taking some off. See if Castro, with his aggressiveness, would have swung through it or popped it up.
Another changeup, that into shallow right center. Stanton over, Ozuna has it. Krasinski's going nowhere, and Ozuna airs it out to keep runners first and second.
I like the communication between Marcell and Stanton, but I wish Stanton would have made that play. Both have very good arms. Still the superior arm, and if you look at where momentum goes, it goes for Stanton. Now Marcell has to turn his body and make that throw where Giancarlo would have had an accurate throw. The good thing was you have A.J. Pierzynski at second base, not a lot of speed.
Freddie Freeman now, dangerous man at the plate. Not up on the scoreboard as far as his batting average goes, but what he represents, and his last time up, a base hit in the 7th. He's 1 for 3 tonight. And on the season, just hitting 107. But with a guy like Freeman, you know it's just a matter of time. And the fear is that one hit will bring more. And he gets hit. Goodness. Well, that wasn't an A.J. Pierzynski keep the elbow in one spot. That was look out.
I hear the catcher sometimes yell right there at you, look out, hits him right back of the tricep, the right tricep.
And that'll do it for Narveson. So Narveson gives up an RBI single to Markakis, gets an out, and then hits Freeman. Kendall Toyota called to the bullpen. It felt like Miami was in full control. All of a sudden they realize they're not, and it's 3-3. Atlanta has tied it, and the Marlins still need an out here in the 8th to keep it tied. Tomorrow, remember, it's FS1 tomorrow night. Tom Koehler and Bud Norris. Koehler was terrific in his start in DC. Norris, the veteran, you saw last year, a rough year for him. That's a 7 o'clock start on FS1. Joe Davis and Preston Wilson will call the game. And Brian Morris will face Adonis Garcia. Bags loaded, 2 out. And Morris misses out. It's 1-0. See that pitch at the knees and on the plate. It's been a bit of a rough ride for Adrian Johnson. Into center, that's a hit. Pierzynski scores. Markakis behind him, and Atlanta has a 5-3 lead. And Miami's bullpen, who has been so good in the first 7 games, has been knocked around here tonight.
Well, after making those 2 errors at second base, Adonis Garcia has come through big with 3 RBIs of his own, 2 right here on this base hit. 1-0 pitch out over the plate. And the Braves mean business.
Here is Beckham now.
Give a lot of credit to Freddie Gonzalez in the 5th inning, making those moves, pitching moves to be able to keep the game at 3-0 and not letting it get out of hand. O'Flaherty bringing him in for Bohr, then taking him out.
Chris Withrow came in and finished that inning. He got an out each from Perez, O'Flaherty, and Withrow, and that was the 5th. You don't often see managers mix and match lefty-righty.
No, not that early. Almost gone through his entire bench. Only Eric Ibar's left as a position player.
A fastball fouled back by Gordon Beckham. And so the Marlins, who certainly against Williams Perez had ample opportunity to score more than 3, but did not. The Fish have left 8 on. Now are down 2. And a 2-1 pitch coming. Beckham busted bat left field. Freeman around third. Yelich up with it to the plate, and he scores. And it's 6-3 now. Beckham delivers.
Good pitch jamming Beckham, yet Beckham showing how strong he is. Right there, breaks his bat and is still able to muscle it over the infield. You go back to this inning, that 1-2 count to Pierzynski, getting hit by the pitch, really changed the momentum of this inning.
Kelly Johnson now. Phelps and Narveson. And now Morris. And a high chopper foul. Phelps an inning, 2 hits and 2 runs. Narveson a third of an inning, a hit and 2 runs. Johnson, a little tapper. Morris has it on to first in time. But the Braves, with a 4-run 8th, have a 6-3 lead. Marlins baseball is presented by Jeep. Marlins Park, where there's been a seismic shift in this ball game. Miami had a 3-0 lead, and then Atlanta with 2 runs in the 7th, 4 in the 8th. AJ Pierzynski, who played a starring role in the rally, and so did his right elbow, is behind home plate, and Jim Johnson is in. You see Johnson's ERA. He's been knocked around in 4 games. Justin Bour takes a pitch out. JT Realmuto, Adeiny Hechavarria, and the Marlins have 2 innings to try to climb back into the game. And Bour, a sizzling liner that Garcia catches at third. Excuse me, not Garcia. That's Beckham, it looks like.
Well, they took the lead and they went with defense, taking Garcia out of the game, and this is a line shot. This is what Justin's been doing the entire season so far, the short season, better said. Hitting the ball the other way with authority. Great approach, just tough luck.
Don Mattingly came to home plate after that, and my guess is that the Marlins dugout did not get any word about the changes out in the field. There's Kelly Johnson at second. Beckham is now at third. And whether that one got by Adrian Johnson or the Marlins just never saw that.
Well, he did say 42 was the third.
Yeah. Realmuto gets jammed, and he is out. And Jim Johnson has a couple of quick outs.
Well, that's what he was doing when he was pitching really well with the Orioles closing games, as we see Alex Smith in center field and Stubbs moving to left field.
Well, as you noted, Freddie Gonzalez has to do this because his bench is almost all depleted. He's got one guy left on it.
Well, in teams when they're going this tough, you know, the saying is you find a way to lose, and has to be able to keep his pitcher out on the mound as much as possible. He's managed brilliantly tonight, starting in that 5th inning.
Breaking ball, and Hechavarria took a big swing at it, just got a piece.
I don't see Jim throwing that pitch again. That was a get-me-over, hanging, tumbling curveball.
Johnson is in the 4 spot in Garcia's spot. There's that same pitch.
Why would you?
And it's drilled into center, and that'll bring Dietrich up.
You're a sinker ball pitcher. Breaking ball, not that good. Look at it just tumble again out over the plate. He already had a really good swing the pitch before. You see A.J. Pierzynski's reaction. Not good, but it's very good for the Marlins.
And the Braves are going to dip into their pen again. Kendall Toyota called to the pen, 6-3 Atlanta. Bottom 8. Braves with a 3-run lead. Aroldis Vizcaino has yet to give up a run in 4 appearances, 2 2/3 innings. Vizcaino on his first opening day roster this year. Derek Dietrich takes outside. Dietrich has had a real nice start. Coming off the bench, getting a spot start. You can see 4 for 7. 2 of those pinch hits. And both came in really big situations. Dietrich, an interesting package of discipline and power.
Continues to put himself in hitters' counts coming off the bench. 2-0.
Big shift on. Vizcaino shuffles his feet. Now, we talked about the Braves bench being almost depleted. With just an Eric Ibar left, the bullpen has been used, but Freddie Gonzalez really hasn't had a choice. He had to mix and match in the 5th just to keep it at 3-0 Miami. He did. And as a result, the Braves were able to come back, but he's used 5 relievers now. And on 4 pitches, Vizcaino comes in and walks Dietrich, and it brings up D. Gordon.
This is where leadership comes in. A.J. Pierzynski, right after that walk, took a couple steps, yelled at his pitcher, and then continued to walk towards him. He knows what's at stake. That's the competitive nature of A.J. Pierzynski.
Vizcaino worked yesterday. He was the only reliever used yesterday in a Julio Teheran start. And a get-me-over breaking ball is over. And a strike to D. Gordon, who is 1 for 4. And he chased.
Well, with Dietrich, he went fastball after fastball, couldn't locate. So Pierzynski asked for the slider, gave it to him for a strike, and then this time, hard dive out of the zone to make D chase.
0-2. And that breaking ball is out.
See how D took that pitch. Nose out there towards the pitch. Now you wonder if AJ will ask for a fastball inside, or does he stay with the breaking pitch?
Echeverria at second. Dietrich trail runner at first. 2 outs in the 8th. And Gordon lays off. And it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Atlanta has lost their first 9 games. As we noted, they've been in position to win many of those. They had the lead in 6 of the 9. They have the lead here, bottom of the 8th. 2 outs. Gordon, a little tapper up the line, and he's safe. Bags are loaded. And here comes Marcell Ozuna, who has 3 hits tonight.
Well, T putting the bat in play. Nothing you can do, and Vizcaino did the right thing. Don't throw it. This is where a lot of young pitchers make the mistake and try to rush it. Held on to it. Conceded the hit. Base is loaded.
Echeverria, Dietrich, now Gordon. And all of this has come with 2 outs. And now Ozuna, who is doubled, singled, bounced out, and then singled again.
I would say this plate right now is spinning for that man, Barry Bonds, Frank Menechino, both hitting coaches here for the Marlins.
Ozuna against Vizcaino, who, remember, walked Dietrich before the Gordon hit. And Ozuna had an off-speed pitch, and he just missed it.
Get me over slider. Just missing it a little bit long. Would have jammed him.
Outfield towards right center and very deep in left is Stubbs. Vizcaino's out in front now, 0-2.
Reason they're so deep, up by 3. It's okay to allow the base hit, but you do not want anything hit over your head. And that run from first base scoring and tying the game. See third baseman covering the line, Beckham. No doubles, all around.
Foul tip held by Pierzynski. And Vizcaino escapes. The Marlins leave him loaded, and the Braves continue to lead 6-3. On Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By Jeep, visit Jeep.com to learn more. And by your South Florida Honda dealers. In Miami tonight, Rich Waltz, Eduardo Perez, Jessica Blaylock, and the Braves, winless so far, 0-9, have come roaring back from a 3-0 Miami lead and have a 6-3 lead now. Atlanta in control and in the ninth. It's Craig Breslow who comes in for Miami. Fourth to work out of the bullpen. And this backs up Wei-Yin Chen. 6 1/3, 4 hits, 2 runs. Probably deserved a better fate tonight. Mallex Smith, his first at bat. Pop up, Gordon out, Stanton in. Stanton's there and he makes the catch.
Ball stayed up for a while. Good communication between Giancarlo and D. D going all out until he hears Giancarlo and he veered away. You see them having a little fun right there, but you see Giancarlo look down, peek, sees D, calls for it, and makes that play.
That's a collision that D. Gordon does not want to have.
Not at all. Not at all.
Breslow gets strike 1 on Drew Stubbs. Pierzynski in the 9 spot is on deck. Miami, when they get to that 9th inning, will have Yelich, Prado, or excuse me, Yelich, Stanton, Prado, and if anything happens, Bour and Real Muto. Breslow healthy after battling shoulder issues last few seasons. Out in front of Stubbs, 1 and 2. Miami's bullpen very good in the first 7 games. Touched for 4 runs in this one. And Breslow gets a strikeout. He's got 2 quick outs here in the ninth. Here comes Pierzynski.
Gotta love this pitch by Breslow, just going after Stubbs on the inside part of the plate. 90 miles per hour. Looks like Stubbs was looking for something soft. Instead got the heater.
As Eduardo pointed out, turning point in that 8th inning. A.J. Pierzynski clipped with 2 strikes on that right elbow. You see the big pad that he has. Shoots that one foul. That was with David Phelps on the mound. In fact, it was the last guy that Phelps faced. He had given up a hit to Tyler Flowers to open up the inning.
He needed to get on base, 1-2 count, knowing that Markakis is hitting behind him. His chances were dim. And those are the little things that he always tends to do.
Gordon to first in time. Miami down to their last 3, and they need 3. hits. Miami has out-hit the Braves, but the Fish have stranded 11 and trail at 6-3. Marlins Live postgame coming up. Jessica Blaylock, Jeff Conine, there they are right now. No doubt Jeff Conine ready to go. And getting wired up. Aroldis Vizcaino still in the ball game. So Vizcaino, who came in and finished the 8th, gets Christian Yelich, Giancarlo Stanton, and Martin Prado. Marlins down to their last 3 outs. Oh, 1-1 to Yelich. His double was in the 5th. Stanton has a hit. Prado has a hit. Heck, a lot of Marlins have hits. 11 on the night. It's that old adage, when you have opportunities to score runs and you don't, it can come back to bite you.
Vizcaino with electric stuff. See right there on that 1-1 pitch, Yelich late. He's already proved he can throw the slider for a strike. Now he has control more of the fastball this inning.
.98 miles an hour. Of course, the Braves have a Jason Grilli in their bullpen. Grilli, the former Marlin of long ago. Been a lot of places since. That one under the glove of Beckham, and Yelich around first will hold there with what looks like his 3rd hit of the night.
And that was huge right there. Beckham, I think, was caught off guard a little bit. Have to be able to make this play at this level. See this pitch down and away. That's the same pitch that he struck out looking last time. See it right here? Just hits right off the tip, and now you're giving a chance for the big man to come up. Try to get another runner on base. Tying run on deck.
Yelich at first. 1-0 to Stanton. And a strike.
Good pitch right on the corner. Giancarlo not looking there.
Outfield extremely deep towards right center. Stanton, after a breaking ball, it's 1-2.
That was a good slider on purpose, thrown on that corner to see if he would chase. Looking a lot like the fastball. Then it breaks the last minute down and away. Easier from here than from the plate.
Same pitch, same result. And Vizcaino gets a big strikeout. Stanton goes down. Here comes Prado. Center field, a lot of room out there. Smith makes the catch. And Miami's down to their last out. Justin Bour is the hitter.
Right here, Freddie Gonzalez now with Justin Bour at the plate. Will tell Freddie Freeman to play behind the runner. First base, Christian Yelich. He wants to go, no problem. That run will not do anything. They just want the out.
Bour 1 for 3, and the best ball he hit in the 8th was a line drive for an out. Leaping catch by Beckham at third. Yelich will take second. No stolen base.
Really interesting how Atlanta has played Bour differently with each pitcher he's faced. This one not a complete shift. Second baseman maybe 7 or 8 steps behind the dirt, short right, as we saw Grilli starting to warm up in the pen.
Vizcaino, 25th pitch coming. Bour looking for his first home run of the season. Gets a strike in 97. He hit 5 homers against Atlanta last year.
So here comes the do factor. It's due to hit one.
Swung the bat well tonight. That pitch is out. The funny thing is, as Bour has been pelting the left side with line drives and hits, teams have continued to shift him to pull and pitch him off the plate. And you expect at some point, if he continues that, they're either going to have to pitch him differently or play him differently.
I say the latter. Keep him in the ballpark.
3-1. And that's where they've pitched him. And Vizcaino now will bring the tying run to the plate. JT Realmuto, Freddie Gonzalez.
Nothing's ever easy, Freddie.
Remember, Gonzalez had to mix and match lefty-righty to get out of the 5th inning, not the 7th or the 8th. But to his credit, he managed it like it was the 8th or the 9th inning.
And the only reason they're in this position is because he managed that way.
And, you know, if they're, say they're 7-2, he probably doesn't manage that way. But at 0-9, the Braves are trying everything they can to stop the slide. Miguel Rojas comes in, and he'll pitch run for Bour. Grilli is up. And curious that he wasn't up to start the inning, which may show you how he's pitched this year. Realmuto. Pitch in the dirt.
AJ got a little lucky there, got lazy, asked for the slider and did not get down on his knees to block it, tried to just pick it backhand. Those have a tendency to skip on over. Right there, he has to drop to a knee. He can't try to pick it like that backhand. He knows better.
Echeverria on deck. And Realmuto a cut at the 1-0. It's 1-1. Marlins have used Derek Dietrich. Obviously, Rojas is in as a pinch runner. Ichiro, Chris Johnson, and Jeff Mathis remain on Miami's bench. Up and in. So the Braves seemed reluctant to bring Grilli in. I mean, he's finally warming up. The question is, will they bring him in if Realmuto gets on and this inning continues? Because Vizcaino's at 31 pitches now, and he gets a strike on a slow breaking ball. 2-2.
That was huge right there, throwing that breaking ball to get back to 2-2 for a strike. AJ recognizing the fastball is erratic and staying up in the zone. Might as well get a strike with a slider.
Realmuto in the air. Freeman giving chase, and it's out of reach. Still 2-2. The Braves have been much more efficient than Miami. 6 runs, 8 hits. They've left 3. The Marlins have 3 runs, 12 hits, and have left 11 on and have 2 on here with 2 outs. Another pop-up, and it's into the seats.
This is where you have to go with the fastball now. You've thrown 3 sliders in a row, hanging sliders. Those go far. Yes, dig deep and try to keep the fastball down, which he struggled to do in the last pitches.
A strength of Miami in the first week of the season. And Realmuto is battling breaking balls right now.
Went with another one. Have to be able to mix it up.
Another 2-2. Bouncer off the glove of Vizcaino. Johnson the first in time, and Atlanta has their first win of 2016. Their losing streak ends at 9, and in a game where Miami had a 3-0 lead with Wei and Chen cruising, this is not an easy one to take for the Fish. They lose it by a score of 6-3. The Marlins fall to 3-5. Braves win it. Marlins Live is coming up.